right, we're back.
Episode 2.
Part 2.
Of the special edition.
Part 2?
So we answered one question.
yes.
First hour.
Maybe we can go with something a little less broad.
Let's change the tempo a little bit. Let's talk about your vacation first, right? Can we do that?
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
So, how was the Disney experience so far for you and the fam? Let me ask you that.
It was really good. I mean, so I went to boot camp in Orlando. There used to be a naval training.
Used to be a naval training here, yeah. Submarine training, too.
No, well, they didn't do submarine training, but
Nuclear.
nuclear power school was here.
Oh, okay.
So all submarine people are nuclear power trained.
Okay.
And in fact, if you went to nuclear power school, it was so long they never sent you to sub school, which was in New London.
All right.
So you kind of got fire training and damage control, flood training. You got all that kind of in a quick shot here in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to boot camp here, and I went to nuclear power school here, and then I went to A school and nuclear power school here. So I was here for about a year and a half, and during that time, I went to Disney a number of times.
Oh, no shit.
Never was a fan. Remember I said the last time I'd been at Epcot was like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we started off the weekend. We did Hollywood Studios.
Yes.
And it was the normal situation, but we did the lightning pass.
For one, we only got to do for one fucking ride. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was, it was nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a lot of stuff that wasn't ride related per se.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the standing in line for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I think we were in Jedi line for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, we weren't like the projected time frame for that was like an hour or 120 minutes, but we were only there for about 65, 70 or so, which wasn't too bad. There's a bit of fuckery.
I kind of like the set your expectations really low,
right,
and then over deliver.
Right,
I kind of liked that because we were moving to the line pretty quick, but even still, like an hour in that line feels like 3 hours.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But at least it was air conditioned. So like,
yeah,
it's almost like
it's all inside.
It's almost like somebody sat down and said, "Okay, let's assume it's 100 degrees outside.
Right?
They're gonna get in this line. They're all hyped up. They're gonna reach their limit, and as soon as they reach the limit, that point of the line, there should be air conditioning, right?
Where is that? They've definitely done that data.
And then they're gonna in about 30 minutes they're gonna go, "Oh man, I really like the air conditioning." And then that's gonna wear off. And then you just got to start doing characters and shit or something.
Yeah.
Because they're in line with kids.
Something to engage, yeah.
Let me tell you, I'm a full-grown adult.
Right.
I can't stand lines.
Right.
Standing in line with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, it's like, that's a whole nother level of the third circle of hell.
Yeah.
So, that's animal class.
Yeah. At least they got to entertain each other, though, which was kind of nice.
Yeah,
We had a good number of kids, where there are different levels of engagement there, So that fucking helped.
Yeah, but so I'm glad we did that the first day.
Right.
Because I was like, hey, it's new for Fiorella, it's new for us. But that wore off pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
But the second day,
the VIP standard.
Man, that's the only way to fucking do it.
If you go to Disney.
But it's like $600, $800 an hour, man. Yeah. It's no joke. You're not.
It gets up there.
I mean, like we went and ate lunch or dinner or what? We ate lunch.
Right.
So number one, it's a place Mike was saying you couldn't even get into if you just.
Yeah.
You'd have to have months.
Right.
Of
yeah. The Be Our Guest thing is fucking.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get into.
That morning we go, hey, maybe around 3:00 we'd like to eat. Do you think you can get us in here? Boom.
Yeah. She's like, hey, oh yeah, no problem.
Table for 8. Boom.
Right. Yeah, you're all set for 3.
Mr. Yeah. So there was that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, she was just awesome.
Yeah.
Our concierge.
Yeah.
Lady.
Kennedy was her name.
But it feels. I mean, it got to the point where I was walking through the park and I would see a line. I didn't really care what the line was for.
Right.
I didn't even know what the line was for. But the first thing that went in my head was, there's something over there worth standing in line for. Can we just go cut?
Can we go cut?
Can we just go to the front of that and see what it is?
Kennedy would like the front of that line. But
Yeah.
Sir, that's for the bathroom. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just went in front of everybody else.
I'm going to tell you right now, just dodging the fucking getting into Magic Kingdom and getting out of Magic Kingdom alone is worth it.
That's always been the part you hated the most.
So they came and picked us up at the hotel.
Yep.
Right.
Drove us to the back lot.
Yep.
Like where all the secret top secret kind of, where they deliver the toilet paper.
Right. Yeah.
Where you're not the stuff, because she mentioned it a couple times, like you're never allowed, a kid or a guest is never allowed to see a character.
Right. Yeah, without the head.
Just in any, unless they're 100% a character.
Right.
Right.
Right. Because it takes you out of the
magic.
The magic.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but that extends also to don't let them see you emptying the trash.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Wheel the whole trash can away, put a whole new trash can there, and then we do the trash business out of people's view.
Right.
I mean, they have everything down to a fucking
science.
Right.
To suck as much money from you as possible.
But one downside of coming in through the back stage is you get to see a little bit of that stuff they don't want you to see. So they're very strict about, look, don't take pictures, don't pay attention to anything you see back here, pretend it doesn't exist.
Right.
So there's only certain backstage places they'll let, they won't let you go down into the tunnels,
right?
Unless you have unless there's no kids. Like she said, there's things down there that you can't unsee.
Right.
Like what? Like Goofy without his head on. I'm
right.
like, oh, okay. Yeah, they will not let kids down there.
Yeah.
So like Paul DeGreco from Smoke Inn.
Kiss My Ash.
Yeah, that would crush him.
He'd be shocked.
He wants to see it, but you don't want to see it.
Yeah, you want you to open that door, man. You can't unsee it.
No, but it was great. We had dinner at Jose on the Spanish restaurant, which was
Jaleo.
Nice. And we basically hit every Disney property.
Yeah, we did
in 2 days.
Yeah, the only thing we skipped was Animal Kingdom, but we hit every big ride for the most part.
The power move was just calling an audible and going to Epcot.
Yeah, that was a nice flex, and then we hit all 4 points of the big things at Epcot.
Yeah.
And, she was worried, this person's experience, Kennedy knows what's up. So she knows their time frame, right? She knows what time the park closes.
Right.
And she's like, okay, well, if you want to hit Frozen, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ratatouille, and, there was one other one that we hit. Frozen, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ratatouille. Oh, and Finding Nemo. Like, that will pretty much suck the majority of your time, right? And we'll be done right at 9 o'clock when the thing closes. When we get out of the car, Justice starts saying, oh, test track. I want to do test track. So Justice is a pro, man. Justice is a pro. He goes up to Fiorella. He's like, don't you want to ride those cars? Don't you want to ride those cars? So then Fiorella's like, I want to ride the cars.
Oh, cars.
And I'm like, oh, shit, no, this is a terrible ride. And she's like, okay, we can do that, but we're not going to be able to hit all these other things.
She's not allowed to say,
right,
that's a waste of time.
Right, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's a $1 billion waste of time.
That's a bad ride.
Yeah.
You don't want to go on that.
Right. This is a time suck. This is a mistake. So, then we kind of gather together. I'm like, I'm going to tell you right now that test track is every bit of fucking disappointing. And they're like, okay. So, and you could see the relief on her face. She's like, oh, phew, fucking thank God.
Dodge that bullet.
So, yeah, I mean, hitting all that shit. Dude, if we went today, if we said, hey, let's go to Epcot, right? For one, you could forget about Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, that ride would never happen. You would probably get in Ratatouille and maybe Frozen, but then you'd miss the Nemo or something like that.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying, though. Let's say you do 4 rides.
Right.
And the Galaxy ride was like a 2.5 hour wait.
Yeah. Well,
which is its own, like I said, third circle of hell.
Yeah, the only way you can get into that right now is only by getting on at 7 o'clock in the morning and punching it in. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. So the fact that the amount of time you save, you can do 2 parks or 3 parks in one day, just not waiting in lines.
Right.
So
that in itself makes it worth it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people hit me up and say, hey, tell me more about this thing. And I'm like, let me Google that for you.
Right.
But then the second thought I wanted to say to him was, I don't think you understand how much this costs.
Right.
It's expensive.
But you know what? But think about it.
I think it ended up being like $600 an hour.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Is it based on number of people in your party, or is it just a flat rate?
It's a flat rate based on
$600 if you're
like
two,
if you do like New Year's Eve, it's the max,
yeah,
and if you do like January 2nd, it's the least.
Right.
So it really depends on whatever the demand of that date is.
But not on people though.
No.
So for like you guys had like
your group can be up to 10.
Right.
I was gonna say you guys had like 9-10 people, so $600 to get all of you into a ride. Not that bad.
Yeah, but like just this is you. It doesn't even include the tickets.
Right. You got.
It doesn't include anything.
Right. Oh yeah, I guess.
Because first rule of thumb about Disney is the ticket is just the price to get in.
You're
to spend more money.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a bottle of water.
Right. $4.50,
$5. You know, it's
Right.
it's like buying. I mean, it's in every single thing is a way to extract another penny from you.
Right.
You can't get off a ride without going through a gift shop. And
Right,
if you're with kids,
Yeah.
it's like buy me something. Buy me.
But you
something,
know what?
buy me-
Our kids were all pretty good. None of them were really pushing. I mean, you kind of turned it on at the end. You're like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this?
Well, Well, Teddy said, I like. I'm like, let's get it.
Right. Yeah.
Tell me what you like.
Right.
Get it. But then the boys, I try to
Uncle
talk the
Skip.
boys
Tell
into
Uncle
getting
Skip what you
like
want.
Viking stuff, and they're like, nah,
Right.
I don't.
Hey, at least they're right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, other kids would go, if you're gonna buy me something, buy
Right.
it.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff. But your kids were like, well, I really don't want that. I don't
Right.
need that. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, cool.
I solidified them for a droid build as well.
Maybe that's the way.
So they know. I actually have to go next week. Yeah.
You're going
Yeah.
to Disney again next week?
I have to go next week. Yeah.
Oh.
So our Disney trip has a residual cost.
There's a parlay. Yeah. There's a parlay. And I'm like,
Plus,
hey,
the other part of that is they're gonna be like, well, why can't we skip lines like we
right?
did with
Yeah.
Skip?
What the fuck is this?
Yeah, why we don't wait in line? Where's Uncle
Well,
Skip?
like I actually told Jax specifically said, hey, listen, I'm really proud of you for not, saying, well, I'll take that just to take something. And, and when Justice started to have the meltdown that it was ending and like, I'm going to miss everybody. We're not going to see anybody anymore. Like that whole thing. I was like, look, when we come back, why don't we do the droid build? Well, that, that'll make you a little bit happier. Right. And they're like, okay. So, it's a good parlay.
The droid build is basically the boy version of the princess dress up thing.
I think so. So they have two major things in Hollywood studios. They have this lightsaber thing.
Right. I've seen that.
Yeah, I remember the geeky girl
Yeah.
going, this line is for this thing.
Right,
That you
this
had
is
signed up for
Savvy's shop.
six
Yeah.
months ago, and why are you in this line?
Right. Like, what are you doing here?
You don't even understand the powers that you're fucking with at this point.
Right. And I just think that so when I kind of did my research, that's just so in depth, like Star Wars wise. If you're not like a real geek about Star Wars,
Right.
a lot of things will go over your head.
Well, that was the other thing. The boys were really good. Is like this was entirely built around Fiorella.
Right.
So it was okay. Do we go to A or a princess thing?
Right.
Like the boys had zero. Look, I mean, when I was 9 years old,
Right.
I'd have been all over hugging up on
Right.
a couple of those princesses.
Yeah. I think Justice was down, but once he saw that his older brother wasn't down, he's like, all right, I'm going to sit tight.
Yeah. I mean, I would have totally taken the shot.
Right. A little ass grab there.
Whatever. I'm not talking about.
No, I get it.
You
Yeah.
know, I don't want to
Right.
be canceled. I was 10 years old, but I'm saying getting a hug against a set
Right.
of those sleeping beauties.
I'm down.
I mean,
Yeah.
10 when I was 10 or 9 when I was 9
Right.
is different than 9 did.
Right. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So they sat tight. They were cool. They, I got to tell you, man, yeah, there was really, kids are tough in that long span of time. And the bitching was pretty much non-existent,
Oh, no. 2 days, no.
Yeah. It was.
They were
easy.
kind of bored at dinner, but that was like
Yeah.
a drawn
It
out.
was a little bit of a stretch. Yeah.
No, but it was good.
The painting of the dessert, though, they were down with that.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
To sum it up, it went so well that me getting pulled over by the state trooper today
There's nothing.
didn't even bother me.
What's kind of remarkable for me is like, I mean, I have seen you in like the family kind of atmosphere, but only in like Esteli, right? Or, something. We're always kind of there's work involved to some aspect, right? But like this time around, everything work wise is really kind of tabled, and with the whole focus was the theme park, right? So it was awesome to really kind of see you as the whole family aspect, right? It was really like I haven't seen that.
Well, there was like an hour there where I was in a heavy chat session over some slapdickery.
Right, but that's standard, But
Yeah.
that didn't really interrupt all the interaction with
No,
Fiorella.
I got chastised. I got chastised for that.
Yeah, of course, But like,
Passive aggressivized.
yeah, passive aggressivized. Yeah, but whatever. That ain't no thing.
Yeah, Arlen said, "You don't see Mike on his phone the whole time. He spends time with his family. He's a good dad."
Oh, great.
Brittany will tell you otherwise.
That's
Brittany will definitely tell you otherwise.
Like you realize it's your daughter's birthday and you're chatting on about stuff at work, and we can never leave work. And I'm like, oh man.
gotta pay for the trip.
what,
honey. We
I'll
gotta
tell
pay
you,
for the trip.
Brittany will be the first.
Exactly.
Brittany will be
Exactly.
the first to tell you that when we travel, like I'm still acknowledging orders. I'm still going back and forth with things. I'm still doing those things. Your job never leaves you.
Yeah, I was dealing at one point with a customer complaint while we were
Right.
in line. Like a customer was complaining about something. So I
Right.
was like, oh, I didn't realize you were at Disney World. I'm like, hey, dude,
Right.
It doesn't matter.
I got to respond. Right. Yeah. You know, but even still, you know, you were like another degree out of that environment, right? Where your main focal point wound up being family and activities. And it was just really kind of cool to fucking experience that with you. You know, I really had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, you know, like, I don't know, it was really fucking cool. So,
well, I can tell you, I'm, you know, personally, like that's not how I would spend 2 days of my life.
right. Yeah.
So almost none of that was like for me,
No.
entertaining or fun.
Yeah.
But I get a lot of, you know, kind of seeing Fiorella all the way live. Like seeing Fiorella walk off the Guardians. First of all, Fiorella is a roller coaster.
Is a beast when it comes
That's
to
what
roller
he was
coasters.
saying. Yeah, she's a roller coaster monster now.
Look, I really was like, you know, teacups, you know, the little mine train. I thought, oh, maybe she's not. So I insisted on sitting with her. And the whole time I'm like feeling like on the Seven Dwarfs one.
Right.
I was feeling a little bit. Even on the Ratatouille ride, I was like, that was an unnecessary amount of spinning. It was unnecessary. And I'm like, you know, because I get motion sickness.
Right.
So I'm like, you know, how's she going to handle it? She's like, I want more.
Right.
More. Give me more.
Yeah, we're just feeding the beast.
Yeah, so I didn't go on the Guardians of the Galaxy because I know my own limits.
Right.
Right.
So I'm standing outside with outside. Fiorella comes off. Or no, before Fiorella and them come off. I see all the people coming off for like 10, 20 minutes.
Right.
And it's everything from, oh, that's the greatest ride I've ever been on. Oh, that was crazy. Can you believe this? Can you believe that? And then I saw people coming off just like shook. Like kids, you know, kids that are like, you know.
Just, whoa.
And the family's like, oh, man, I you know, that's too much for her. You know,
Right.
whatever. And there's like the 8-year-old going, this is the worst experience of my life. And then there was like this 20-year-old girl, whatever. She's like needs an EMT. She's like she's in full distress.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what was going on with her, but they were like basically like, you know, putting water on her head and everything. It was like crazy. And I'm like, oh shit, this
Right.
thing must be crazy. This thing, because you know you're just seeing all the
Right. You're witnessing all the feedback.
immediately
Yeah.
immediately after they get off the ride, they're coming out the exit door where the air conditioning was coming. So I
Right.
was right there. So they come off, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So Teddy says, you know, there's the boys, and they're coming down these stairs, and I'm like, oh yeah, because they have the same shirts on and everything.
Right.
And I see Fiorella, she's just like moving out front. She's like, oh my god, I thought I was gonna die. That was great. But she's like flexed up, and I'm like,
Right.
oh man,
That was the move.
yeah, she's a roller coaster. She's gonna be a pro.
Yep. When she gets bigger, we take her to Velocicoaster.
Exactly.
We do that. We do it the right way. So, yeah, man. I mean, shit. I was super impressed with how she handled all that stuff. You know, you would think that a 6-year-old, that could go either way.
She's young enough to enjoy the simple ones,
Right.
like the Toy Story where you shoot at the things.
Yeah, the Toy Story Mania.
Or even the Nemo one.
Right.
It's basically just a
Yeah, you just sit in.
waste 30 minutes, you know, or
Right.
the Little Mermaid one.
Right.
She liked both of those.
Right.
The thing about Fiorella is she almost never, ever watches TV.
Right.
She spends more time on her tablet than I would like for her to spend.
Right.
But, you know, she's
All kids do.
outside, she's swimming, she's active.
She loves animals.
Yeah, she loves playing with the animals. She loves doing like activities like coloring and drawing more than anything. But she doesn't watch a lot of movies. Like she's not going to sit in front of a movie and watch it for 3 hours.
Right.
So she's seen some Disney things, but
Mm-hmm.
she's not like my kids when they grew up. They had every VHS tape. They
Right.
knew all the
Right,
characters.
The
Yeah.
whole collection.
So where she really kind of lit up were the ones that she knew,
Right.
like Frozen and Moana. Well, there wasn't a Moana one, but the Frozen,
Right.
the Nemo one,
Mm-hmm.
she knew. But like Toy Story, she kind of knew.
Right.
But a lot of those, like Guardians of the Galaxy, she has no idea
No
what
idea,
it is.
right.
But, you know, some of those things they were kind of they went over her head a little bit.
Right.
But
Yeah, it didn't matter as long as the ride was fun.
yeah, like she has no idea what Star Wars is.
Right.
She had no idea.
Right.
That whole thing, you might as well have been showing her, you know, something from the 50s. She has
Right.
no idea. But she still had a good time on that ride.
Right. Yeah, they're done remarkably done.
Well, the other thing is you have to realize they have no context.
Right.
Meaning they've never even been to an amusement park.
Right.
So Arlen's like, you know, a carnival with the normal carnival rides or whatever.
Right, where somebody falls off and dies.
So she's completely fascinated by the whole the whole thing
Right.
is just like a whole brand new, like, you know, it's one thing going to Disney and you know what Disney's going to be.
Right.
Right.
She had no idea what it was.
Right.
She
No
thought it was-
expectations at all.
You know, when we were walking around the Epcot and it's like, you know, buy some funnel cakes, buy a
Right.
beer, see a couple of characters walking around. She thought that's what Disney World was.
Right.
She didn't understand, like, she's even seen a roller coaster, but she had never had the context of where they do the Jedi ride where they do the whole story while
Right.
you're in the 10 minutes
Yeah,
of the ride.
the Rise of the Resistance.
She's like, she has no idea what she had you know, that's crazy.
Right. It's insane.
It's crazy, yeah.
That was a blast.
We had a good time.
What's the next on the subject?
Weaselfest.
Yeah.
People are wanting to
What?
know if there's going to be a Weaselfest.
What the fuck is going on with Weaselfest?
So, the short answer is there is going to be a Weaselfest. It's going to be Labor Day weekend. It was supposed to be Saturday with VIP stuff on Friday and then kind of some shooting and stuff on Sunday. Then Scarface couldn't be there on Saturday, so we had to move the whole thing to Sunday so that he could be the headliner again.
Okay.
He's a huge Roma guy, but oddly, that's not reflected in the prices that we get charged. You know, like I'm sure Nick could have Joe Rogan show up and do a little, 15-minute MC. Scarface is not in that mode, but I don't mind paying for it.
Right.
So, the problem is, when that one piece of the thing costs $50,000,
Right.
and you're only going to have 250 people, right? Do the math.
Right.
Right.
You're already at $200 per person before anything.
Right. You haven't even touched booze, food,
Right.
nothing.
Right. So like last year, we wanted to have 400 people, right, with 100 VIPs, and we planned for that. So we spent like $300,000 or $400,000, which would have been about $1,000 per person.
Right.
We ended up having about 150 people there. Mm-hmm. So do the math. I mean, we
Right.
spent the tickets were $200-$300 or whatever, but just the price of mailing the Weasel packs
Right.
was more than what we collected on ticket sales.
Right.
Right. So it was never meant to be a moneymaker.
Right.
But when you have people criticizing you, oh, well, they're selling cigars. It's like, well, we're giving cigars away with the ticket. But
Right.
the whole entire thing is not even about cigars.
Right.
It's about just being a part of our world for a day, right?
People fucking complain to while they're selling cigars.
I got some of that.
I heard some of that.
About,
some
oh,
rumblings.
you're selling
Like,
direct.
oh, you're inviting us here and you're selling cigars.
You're selling Grand Perfectos that we can't sell in our store.
Give me a fucking break, dude.
Yeah. So anyway,
That's like the
Can't
analogy.
make everybody
That's the
happy.
analogy that you said to me when we were rolling about like, you have a dick, so I'm not going to introduce you to my wife, right? Because there's potential there where you could sleep with her. It's like,
Yeah.
Come on,
yeah, exactly.
that's fucking ridiculous.
It was really wise what I said, but I don't remember
yeah,
exactly.
it was really on point. You had me dying.
Yeah.
So
So just the one day, or are you going to do the VIP Friday and then
there's
something
VIP
else
Saturday maybe.
The last email I saw, I think Mike had can't. So we were going to do a dinner at Bob's Chop House on the roof for the VIPs, which in itself is more than the cost of the VIP ticket. It's
Right.
like it's ridiculously fucking expensive. Dinner for 100 people is like $30,000 or
Right.
something. So the short answer is I don't know. I'm trying to stay as disconnected from the planning of this as possible.
Right.
Basically, it can't be at our headquarters because the autism school
Yeah, they
basically
built that
took over
playground.
the Grubhub place.
Right.
And so our whole lawn area is gone.
Okay.
So, and plus everybody just wanted to hang out in the headquarters instead of being out in the...
Right.
So then, and a lot of the expense was the tents and the stage and all this stuff. So we found this really cool venue. Justin Andrews did a event at Whiskey Fest when he was there at this venue, and it's really dope. So, but anytime you do anything anywhere else, it always comes back to the smoking.
Right.
Yeah, I was about
So
to ask.
you can't do it without smoking.
Right.
So it's like this back and forth, like trying to find a venue where you could do the smoking. And in downtown Austin, you might as well be in San Francisco. I mean, it's like, you can smoke as much weed as you want.
Right.
But as soon as you light a tobacco product, it's...
Right. You're killing everybody around
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Mm-hmm. You're killing the planet.
Right.
You're giving us all immediate cancer.
Right.
Not even, it's also There's probably some gender complaint or something too. So the long and short of it is, I don't know the exact details, but like last year we had 2 food things, we had 2 beer things, we had 2 liquor things, we had 3 acts for music, and the goal was to have 400 people. So I think this time we're trying to scale it down to about 250 people.
Right.
Last year people just didn't get it, what it was going to be, and then they felt like they missed out. This year, if you miss out, you miss out. I mean, we're just throwing the thing,
Right.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. So I don't know what to say about that, but it's going to be, I think we may still have 2 liquor things, but we're only going to have 1 food thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're only going to have maybe 1 or 2 music acts, probably 2.
Right.
Because the Mech Step, which is part of Third Root,
Mm-hmm.
I really dig what they do, so I'm going to try to get him to do the first set. We were trying to get Gary Clark Jr., who I don't know if you know who that is, but it's a big deal. And Scarface is more of a friend of ours, so we went with him. I mean,
Gotcha.
He does great anyway. So, you know how it is.
Yep.
I told them to plan it small, and then I'll add on to it as soon as I start. So,
Right. But earmark
if,
Labor Day
if the
weekend.
ticket's $250, you're going to get $2,000 worth of value.
Right.
I mean, it's whatever it is. But I don't care about if it costs me $200,000, $300,000. It's not going to be 20 folding chairs and let's a bunch of fat guys sitting around just
Right.
Whatever.
Talking it up.
Yeah, and it's not going to be a trick or treat where you're there to
Right.
buy cigars and get free cigars. It's a party.
Right.
If you get it, buy a ticket.
Right.
You won't regret it.
Right. If you don't get it, then-
whatever your airplane ticket cost, whatever your hotel cost, believe me, the value you're getting at the event is
Right.
more than all those 3 things together.
Of course.
So
Of course.
I don't think we're doing the Weasel packs this year, just because I think we will have. So I think we have another 500 boxes of the Catador Grain Corona that we specifically earmarked for the event
Right.
that we'll sell at the event instead of including it in the ticket price.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then
You can just smoke them there.
and then there will be a VIP something, but I'm not sure exactly what. But I would plan for Sunday, September
Labor Day weekend.
whatever that is,
Right.
4th, I think.
Yeah.
And if you can't make it, you can't make it.
Right. So there you go.
It's like our cigars.
Right.
We're gonna sell them as fast as we make them.
Right.
As soon as we put the tickets out, they're gonna be gone. So I'm
Right.
not sweating, promoting it, whatever. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, that's cool with me.
Right. Okay. So there's your answer, Phil. 'Cause Phil always asks me.
Why do you say call him Phil? I thought that was
me.
Boots.
It is Boots.
That's Phil the cameraman. though.
He's got a different
Oh,
name.
I thought Phil was I don't remember that guy's name. Phil.
Stan? Oh, no.
Phil was the name you use when you don't remember the guy's name.
I do. That's what I do. But we named our cameraman Phil,
Yeah.
Okay, but his
so
name,
it's like a secret.
his name's not really Phil.
His
No.
name's not really Phil.
Oh.
Okay, I'm not on the inside joke, I guess.
He likes calling him Phil. Then I just roll with it.
Okay.
All right. So Weaselfest?
So
Check.
Weaselfest, just summarize, we don't know where. We know when.
And
Well,
it's going to be downtown Austin.
Yeah, it's in Austin, Texas.
So, well,
yeah.
I mean specifically where.
Yeah.
Okay. But we do have a date, though, now at least.
Yeah.
So if people want to start going planes and hotels,
Will
they can start looking around.
Quinn Juan Gennaro be
Here's what
there
I know.
at that point?
What I know is we've signed a
Quinn
contract.
Right.
We've paid a deposit.
Right.
I think we're like $70,000 in so far. So it's going to happen.
It's gonna
Something
happen.
is going to happen.
Something.
On that
The
date.
train has left the station.
You can't move that date.
Right.
Okay.
So what I don't know is exactly what it's going to be.
Right. But it'll be worth it.
Right. So if you want to book a hotel in downtown Austin in the middle of close to downtown
Right.
for Saturday and Sunday and buy an airplane ticket, you're probably,
You'll be okay.
safe. You'll be
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, I mean, if
You're at least going to see Scarface.
what I would do, and I'm not saying this is a process, I'm just saying what I would do personally. If I bought an airplane ticket and a hotel room for that weekend to Austin, and I would send that to Sean, and I would say, hey, I've already
I'm
booked
booked.
it,
Right.
right? Can you make sure you let me know as soon as possible when to buy a ticket?
Right.
That's what I would do.
Perfect.
And I assume Sean would say, got you.
Right.
I'll let you know when the ticket portal's going to open.
Yeah. You can count on Sean.
And it'll probably open an hour or a day before we kind of tell people.
Right.
So that those 20 or 30 people can get in there and,
There you go.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Good deal.
That's what I would assume.
Right.
So email Sean, not me.
Email Sean. Please email Sean.
Email the shot.
And what else?
That was the only question I had. That's a question people have been asking me.
Yeah.
So I came
On
all
the
the way to
Weasel page.
Orlando to ask you about Weaselfest.
No, you came here for Disney World. I'm
What
just
else?
a bonus.
What else do you want to know?
Yeah, let's go.
Mike Palmer.
Come on, Mike.
No, what do I not know? I know everything there is to know about you. I've stayed at your house. We have technically slept together.
Wow. Look at this
I've
man.
slept at his house.
Yeah. He did sleep at your
Wow,
house.
that escalated really, really quick.
Everybody knows anyway, Skip.
You've never been in my bedroom, have you?
No, I've never
Okay,
crossed
so
the threshold.
So the answer is no.
Well, you've been in the room I slept in though when I was in there.
What was I doing there?
I think you're showing me where things were or something.
Okay.
Did you have clothes on?
No,
Oh,
He had clothes.
of course not.
of course not.
Believe me, because
BDP,
I
man.
would still be washing that out of my brain.
You wouldn't have made it here today.
So let's talk about, what do you want to talk about? The PCA? What do you want to talk about?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, we haven't really covered
State of the
You
cigar
want to
industry?
switch over to
where we at? Yeah,
Patreon? We're at an
maybe
hour and a
do-
half.
Yes, let's do Patreon, and we can kind of.
Okay, wait. We're not gonna finish this half hour?
How long are we at on this? 30 minutes.
We're at an hour and a half so far, but it's 7:30, and we do have a 9 o'clock.
We
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck them.
Hey, listen. When you commit, you got to commit. You know.
We're a featured guest.
Yeah, you've got another hour and a half. How long do you think this Patreon is gonna last?
This
Who
guy's,
knows?
this guy's never on time. This guy's always late.
Yeah, he's gonna be those.
I'm not late. I either don't commit to when I'm gonna do something, or I'm exactly on time.
There you go.
But let's talk generally about PCA.
Okay.
Okay.
State of the cigar industry.
All
We
right.
got 30
And
minutes
then
left
and
of
then
this.
we'll parlay that into
into the
the
Patreon.
Patreon.
Okay.
deets.
Okay. I don't like, as the guest, having to dictate your agenda here, Mike. I figured a certain level of professionality, you'd have some
Well,
questions.
we had something. Well, questions. I didn't find out you were coming until 30 minutes before you were on your way.
You've been asking me to come. You know what?
It's true.
You don't wait till the fucking guy who's 80 years old, who's a legend to die before you write his obituary. You write his obituary. You have it continuously updated so that
So
when
I
he
should
dies,
always have a set of skip questions on hand,
Of course.
just in case.
Of course.
Yeah.
Boots, am I wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. We may have some.
Phil, let's Phil.
Absolutely not.
We may have some shutters that he has to buy soon too. So I mean, you gotta
Right, yes.
You gotta prep him right.
Need new shutters?
So let's talk about boots at the trade show.
Okay.
I'm gonna make some observations.
Okay.
here.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's do this.
based on the last podcast I listened to. So number one, he gets it.
He does get it.
He knows his role.
He knows his role.
He fucking does it.
Yep. This is true.
He's on time. I remember the whole speech you had about being on time, blah 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 blah.
Right.
Who's the first person that's not on time?
Yeah. Well,
It was a minute, Skip. 1 minute. And it was my wife.
would have
not
been
me.
longer than a minute.
He said 1 minute is not an excuse.
That's it.
If you're not ready on the dot, we're leaving without you.
That's it.
He could have left. I would have got there.
He should have left.
They should have.
He should have.
I'm soft.
You can't draw a line in the sand,
Yeah.
wait for Palmer to stick his toe over it,
Right.
And then
You're
draw
right.
and then
it.
get mad when you don't do what you say you're going to do.
I know. You're right. I fucked it up. I should have just left. Should have just left. That would have parlayed in a whole other level of fucking fuckery.
We might not have seen her again for the week.
Yeah. I mean, maybe in the end you made the right choice. It may not have been the choice I would have gone with. But my point of that is to say I was very impressed by Boots' ability. Boots is a leader. He owns his own company.
Yep.
He's a leader of men. He's in charge of shit.
Yep.
Know your role. In that situation, he had a very specific role, and he fucking executed.
He is fucking lapping this up right now.
Am I wrong? But am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I wrong,
no
Boots?
disagreements.
Absolutely not.
See what I'm saying? I like that.
Yeah, he was yeah, what's really kind of remarkable too is like he also geeks out like with the celebrities, especially like the athletes too and stuff like that. But we made sure that we worked it out where he had the opportunity to kind of meet those people, right? And yeah, he went with the
Did you
flow.
get to meet Guy Fieri?
No. He wasn't excited.
That was
he
the-
met him already, though.
That was the one everybody was.
You got to meet Guy. Yeah.
He met Guy at the Great Smoke.
Yeah, well, yeah, he met him briefly before and whatever. It's great that he's
Everything I've ever heard from anybody who really knows him
Mm-hmm.
is he's a first-class human being.
Right.
Which to me means a whole lot more than any other fucking thing.
Yeah, I mean, were you there? Yeah, you were there when we were talking with Eric, right?
No. Skip wasn't there that night.
Oh, yeah. So, what's really kind of remarkable about Guy is no matter what the tempo is and all the bullshit that's going on, someone says, excuse me, can you take a picture? He fucking stops.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like, he could be in the middle of his
But
meal.
I'm not even talking about all that bullshit.
Yeah, but...
I'm talking about being a decent human being.
Right.
Number one, be a decent human being.
Right.
All the other stuff is know how to deal with your celebrity. All that stuff is, there's these people in the cigar world that think they're a celebrity.
Right. Step out of the cigar world for 1 second.
Which is kind of funny.
Like, I'm sorry, who are you again?
Right, exactly. I don't need to say any names,
Right.
but you're
Right.
standing in a random restaurant. They don't know who the fuck you
Right.
are. Nor do they care.
Right.
Nor do they care.
Nope. I don't give a shit. Guy Fieri walks in and,
Exactly.
he can do whatever
It's
the fuck
different.
he wants.
It's different.
Yeah.
My only thing with Guy, and this is, I'm not saying this is fair. So what I really think about that project is, I like all the guys at Espinosa.
Right.
I really, really like some of them.
Right.
Like they're really good friends of mine for a long period of time.
Right.
What I really like about Guy Fieri is he's not, Ray Lewis. Go to a
Right.
couple events, sign a thing, and then when he's not thinking about it, just
He's moved on.
go make me some money.
Right.
He's really committed to supporting the brand, and he will do as much for Eric and his team as Eric and his team are doing for him.
Right.
That is just, I had a celebrity chasing me for like 2 years to make a cigar for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, I really like you. I really like your work. You seem like kind of dude I could be down with.
Mm.
These things don't work out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're willing to do it, here's what we can do. Come to Nicaragua. You do exactly
Right.
that. You go through the tobacco school. You learn about it. You tell me about what you like.
Right.
I give you the tools to make it so that when you say you made it, you can say you made it.
Right.
I will make it that way. I'll ship it to you. You deal with all the bullshit you have to deal with, picking the packaging. I'm not doing that for you.
Right.
You pick your packaging. I have to approve it. I'm not going to do it for you.
Right. And there's a big difference
You
there.
know better than everybody.
Right.
Right. So then when you get it, I'll ship it to wherever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You go sell it. You go promote it. If you need my help, I'll show up and help talk about it, whatever. But this is your project.
Right.
He said, well, I can't make it to Nicaragua. Da,
Right.
da, da, da. So someone else ended up making the cigar for him.
I know who you're talking about too.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And guess what?
We're not saying names because I don't know who you.
Nobody will ever know it fucking existed 2 years from now.
Nope.
If I did it,
Right.
it would be like what Eric's doing.
Right.
Right? Because I would make the thing is Eric doesn't even go to Nicaragua very much. It's really Hector.
Right.
Right? And now they're not even really doing a lot of stuff in La Zona. They're doing it at AJ.
Right.
So that's one way of doing it. I'm not criticizing it.
Right. There are different
So
approaches.
Guy had nothing to do except for maybe selecting the blend.
Right.
Right? From what I think Hector said was this was something he had been working on for a while anyway.
Right.
They just kind of plugged this thing into Guy's thing. It's a good cigar.
It's a very good cigar.
I don't think it's outrageous. I don't know how much it is.
No, it's reasonable.
Yeah, it's not outrageously overpriced.
Yeah.
So it's not like take a $12 cigar, charge $14 because
Right.
AJ's making it, then charge $16 because a celebrity is endorsing it.
Right.
Right.
Then- yeah.
It's not that kind of deal.
No.
Yeah. But all that said, step away from Guy Fieri and that thing, which I hope is fabulously successful.
Right.
Because it's a decent cigar or good,
Right.
depending on your taste.
palate, right.
B, it's going to make retailers money. It's going
Right.
to make Eric money. I know it frustrated Hector having to deal with
Oh,
the celebrity.
right.
He turned into a security guard instead of a blender. Jack loves it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And their salespeople love it. So, and look, Guy's a decent human being. He's a first-class human being.
Right.
Right? So all that aside, I will say there are some people that are doing projects in this business, like Tiago Splitter with Ace Prime.
Mm-hmm.
He's not even – they don't even really talk about him very much.
Right.
He's an NBA player. There's Ken Hamlin, spent years going to La Aurora, Placencia, Nicaragua, the Dominican, Honduras, learning about tobacco, blending a cigar, and he's out on the road selling it.
Right. He's a good guy.
So like if I'm going to support a celebrity cigar, I'm
Right.
supporting the arrival from Ken Hamley
right,
because it's the real fucking deal.
right.
I'm not saying he's a tobacco expert.
But he's putting in
I'm not
effort.
even saying he blended the cigar.
Right.
I'm saying he's learning.
Right.
He's doing everything you need to do to be a cigar brand
Right.
owner. Right. Which doesn't mean you have to own your own factory and blend your own cigars.
Right. And he's a super nice guy.
And he's
He's a
a
right.
decent human
He's
being.
a good human being. Yeah.
Right.
He really is.
So, right. So these other celebrity things, you just got to judge them one by one, I guess.
Right. You got to take him.
But to your point about Boots meeting celebrities, to bring it back to the original thing. we
Question.
got
That's what we're
about
talking
that.
about, Palmer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there's some people there that are interesting to meet just because they're cool
Right.
people. I mean, Jerome, that was there with Mas Ignaeus in his little 10 by 10, booth with his wife. He used to be the general secretary of FIFA.
Right.
I mean, the guy had more security than the president of the United States.
Right.
Had private jets, fleets of cars, decided World Cups, controlling billions and billions of dollars of stuff all over the world. Mm-hmm. That's a very powerful position.
Right.
That was probably the biggest celebrity at the show.
Right.
That nobody had any idea.
Yeah. Not in U.S., right?
right.
Yeah, you plop it at, you do the PCA thing in Germany, whatever it's called. Where you guys
Yeah,
go?
I mean, he doesn't do that job anymore. He got
Right.
kind of screwed out of that, but that's a whole other discussion.
Right.
But I mean, that guy is like meeting. If you're in Brazil or South Africa, or it's like meeting Obama.
Right.
That that guy. Who were the other celebrities that were there?
Ed Reed.
Well, Ed does the work too.
Yeah.
Ed's putting, and that's
He's not rushing it.
and he's a great human being.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, not this time around. I feel like this time around he felt a bad vibe for me, so I was like, I'll just keep my distance, whatever.
Well, he's really close with Rosie and Sam.
Yeah.
So that's how I've met him.
So, yeah, we shot the shit at TPE. I got to FaceTime my kids in and stuff like that,
And he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, right? I mean, he, probably the best safety in the game, period, right? Yeah. Ike Taylor was there, and, Leon Cersei, those are the guys that were next to us. They're doing the work, man. They're, they could have fucking wrote it in, showed up for a day and said, hey, I'm out. So those are good dudes that he met. Who else did you meet? I mean, those three mainly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much the big ones. But I got to meet some cigar guys this time. Like, I never met Eric.
Yeah, you never met Eric Espinoza.
Bro.
Yeah. I like pointing him to, the one guy, Placencia. I'm like, that guy? Yeah. He's all of it. He's like, okay. Nick Malillo, he's like, he doesn't know who he was, but, we got to shoot the shit and talk with him a little bit.
Nick's a good guy.
Yeah. So, and he just went with the flow.
Yeah, I mean, I spent most of the time walking around talking to people.
Yeah.
When I was there, I mean, I didn't really spend.
Yeah, it was cool. The whole approach was better. I feel, especially for Roma, right? The motherfucker woke up early as shit in the morning, took me to the gym. I could have Ubered, I guess, but he's like, I'll take you.
Took you to the hotel.
Yeah, took me to the Venetian to work out there for one day.
Who did?
Boots did.
Yeah.
Boots. That's what I said, man. Professional.
Yeah, complete pro. Complete pro.
Know your role.
That's it.
Those are my role, man.
I'm so glad.
That's
it's
my
good
job.
for
I mean,
So glad it's
you
good
were
for
occupied with other duties.
It's an ongoing thing. PCA doesn't. When the show closes, it's not over, as you know.
People don't get it,
No.
and it's not a place. It's not a place to bring your wife and family, and unless they
get it.
There's only two ways it works. One, if you're like John Huber and you're like, when it closes, I'm out of this motherfucker. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Right.
Right. That's the way he is. That's his perspective.
Right.
And look, he makes it clear,
Right.
and that's just what it is.
Methods are his methods.
Right.
Right.
And he's like that in general. His family's important to him. He brings his family. This is their chance to get away.
Right.
It's all about the family.
Right.
Right. It's a known thing going in. All the sales guys know it. All the customers know it. Everybody knows it. And so the guy drew a line. You got to respect it.
Right.
Then there's the guys who, it's like, oh, I'll bring my wife. She'll help out in the booth,
Right.
or whatever. It's like, no, it's not going to work like that.
No.
And then she's going to be bored.
Right.
And you're going to be distracted.
Right.
And
Right. But the other line is that, you can bring your spouses, but they got to go out and do their own thing, right? It's like, hey, you know, do a little girls thing or whatever the case may be, go to the pool, all this other shit. Like, I'm not available, you know?
Right.
And if they understand that's also doable. you
Right.
know?
Right.
Meet you up for dinners or whatever.
Yeah. That's completely doable as
Right.
long as they get that.
Right. They got to be on that page.
Right.
All right, so where are we at?
145.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Well, I mean, I don't like this clock watching. This is your chance, Palmer.
This is it. This is your
You can
moment.
He
ask
does
me
the
whatever you
interviews. I
want.
don't do the
This is-
interviews.
but we want you involved.
I am involved. I'm running the board.
Listen, look. You don't work for me.
I know I don't work for you.
Yeah,
I didn't
speak-
say I work for
speak
you.
freely.
You do the interviews. It's not my end of the
I
program.
want you. We need you entrenched here.
You know what? So I'll a couple of the things that we talked about at the show. I talked, the things that came up at the show. For me, one of the things that I really came away with was, I don't think people understand that there is a big dip happening right now in the cigar business.
Huge.
So I'll say this out front. I always say it. We make 1.2 million cigars.
Right.
We sell about 950,000, a million in the U.S. The other ones go to the Europe. We ship them as soon as they're ready. They sell as fast as we ship them,
Right.
pretty much. So when our demand's 3 million and it goes down to 2 million, we still only make 1 million.
Right.
When our demand is, goes down to 2 million or 1.5 million, we still make less than what our demand is.
Right.
So we don't really feel it's like
The impact of
It's
it.
like we're the iceberg under the waves.
Right.
It doesn't matter. But there are people who've made big moves to gross up their production.
Mm-hmm.
You know what people like? The quick recap: end of 2018, we had the problems in Nicaragua.
Right.
The sales teams were out there saying, "Hey, there might be a new embargo. They may not ship anything out of Nicaragua for the next year, or
Right.
2 years, 3 years. Buy as much as you can, as fast as you can."
Right.
So all these people that had any kind of inventory got scooped up, and they sold every bit of it for a year or so. So come 2019, the trade show, they're doing deep discounts. They're trying to move because they've upped their production
Right.
for this new demand signal. By the end of 2019, there was a glut of inventory in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it had been sold to the big five, famous JR, CI, etc.
Right.
And the factories had no demand.
Right.
There was no orders from the U.S. The U.S. was full of inventory. The retailers were full of inventory. They themselves were stacking up inventory of even stuff that normally is back ordered.
Right.
So they started laying people off. And all my time in Nicaragua, I'm sure there's been 10 here, 50 there, whatever. But there was like Scandinavia laid off like 800 people,
Right.
right?
That's a big one.
People who do nothing but grow were letting people go.
Right.
Now, I'm sure at any given time in any company, you could cut 10%.
Right.
There's always dead weight. And when you cut that 10%, there's another low 10%. There's always the bottom 10%. Always. You can always get rid of the good ones that are a pain in the ass, the ones who don't show up to work when they're supposed to, and the ones that don't do the work they're supposed to do.
Right.
There's always those people to let go. You let them slide because you need them.
Mm-hmm.
There's always those people to let go. As you witnessed.
Right.
We did that a couple of times.
Right.
So the point is that it was really clear that at least from a Nicaragua perspective, there was a lot of inventory and they had no demand. So going into COVID, which was like 2-3 months later, everybody was like, "Oh shit, the whole entire market's going to collapse."
Mm-hmm.
Nobody had any idea. They just knew it was coming. By February, March, April, they knew some serious shit was coming.
Right.
So they stopped making cigars. So when the exact opposite happened
Right.
and the demand went up,
You're already in a hole.
everybody's like, "Oh shit, I don't have enough raw material. I don't have rollers and bunchers. I don't have enough people to do Despedillo. I don't have enough girls in packaging." All that. I let them go.
Right.
I didn't weather the 3 months,
Right.
right? So then 2 things happened. One, everybody started making cigars with less than ready tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody, but a lot of people.
Right.
And everybody started hiring taxi drivers and teaching them how to roll cigars. which has never really happened in Nicaragua,
Right.
right? So then another whammy happened, which was all of a sudden, after Biden got elected, somebody sent the word out that if you just come across the border and say, I'm from Nicaragua, I claim asylum
Right.
from
You're good to go.
political asylum,
Right.
that at least they're going to give you a court date. They're not going to throw you in a cage.
Right.
And then those court dates were 2-3 years away. So by the time they get back on you, you've made enough money, sent it back home, whatever.
You're good to go.
Then you're hiding from them for 2 or 3 years. Next thing you know, you got 10 years in the States,
Right.
whatever. So there were dozens and dozens and hundreds of people. I think something on the order of, I think I read a statistic like 300,000 people in 6 months from Nicaragua.
Wow.
Which I don't know how many from Esteli. I don't know the number, but I know it was a lot. I mean,
Right.
there was one factor because they would, what they would do is they would get a group together. They would get a bus. They would go through up to Guatemala, and then they would have coyotes, and they would go up to the States or whatever. So they'd go as big groups, caravans.
Right.
If you watch Fox News. So then what happened was there were people who, hey, this Friday, 100 people left from Perdomo. Or what?
Right.
You know what? I'm making that number.
Yeah, right,
I don't know if it was Perdomo. I don't know the
Name,
number.
factory, just an example. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, there were huge chunks of people leaving.
Right.
I almost never lose employees, and I had 4 people leave.
No shit.
Yeah, and they're not the. I don't have any lazy
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, it's an
unproductive people.
extremely efficient.
But
factory.
I'm saying, at the big factories, it's not your worst people that you'd like to see go.
Right.
It's your best, smartest people that go.
Right. That's my chance.
Because they're the ones that have the best opportunity. They have the money saved up to pay a coyote. They have the assets to borrow against to pay whatever they need to pay. And they're going to be, if anyone's going to be successful, they're going to be the one successful.
Right.
So those are the people to leave. And so all of that's combined to the fact that, it's been kind of an issue. And it's showing in the quality of the cigars, I think.
Right.
I mean, you judge for yourself. That said, we've done a fairly good job as a community kind of getting people trained up, getting the raw materials, kind of improving,
Right.
and making better, getting back to the level we were at. And the challenge now is the U.S. demand is going to disappear.
Yes.
So I think it started kind of going down in November. I don't see it, so I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
But from just everything you hear from retailers and other people, retailers started getting overstocked after Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
They realized they were over inventory. Mm-hmm. They bought too deep. Not just buying, but they had so much shit on backorder that came in January, February, March that they were in a lot of trouble once it all landed.
Right.
Unless they just turned it away.
And the consumer wasn't there as much.
Yeah, and then the warehouses, the people who stock inventory. I mean, even we had pretty low, relatively low. We normally carry $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 worth of back orders. So the way we work is if let's say we have 240 units, boxes, bundles of Aquitaine cranium in the factory, and our back order in the U.S. gets to 240, John stops putting it on orders.
Right.
But if someone calls and says, hey, I want 20 boxes of Aquitaine cranium, he looks and sees we have negative 180. But then he sees in Nicaragua, over the last 16 weeks, we've made blah, blah, blah. So we have a net positive in the pipeline.
Right.
He can order up to, so we never order more than what's been produced.
Right.
And if we get to the point where what's on order, what we have in Austin minus what's on order is greater than what we have actually produced, we'll shift our production to making more of that thing.
Right.
Right? So the point is, you're never more than 2 or 3 months away from whatever
product.
it is you want.
Right.
But we got to the point where instead of having 500,000-600,000, because let's say we have 300,000 cigars in the aging room. Let's say they're $4 a piece on average. That's about 1.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
So our back orders averaged about 500,000-600,000. So and I'm talking about wholesale value. So if I think our wholesale value got down to about 220,000, where it was mainly like Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal. That was the only thing that was really on back order.
Right.
And which is really rare for us. So we even started having a couple of weeks worth of inventory in the warehouse.
Right.
Right. Like we have a very, very small warehouse. Mm-hmm. So when the shelves are full and you actually have stuff on the pallet after the shipment is processed,
right.
Never happens.
Right.
But now that stuff's going to be gone in a couple of weeks.
Right.
It's not like it just sits there. But so we even saw that. So, of course, at any minute in time, you pick up the phone and call CI and go, hey, I can send you $200,000. They'll take it.
Right.
But, I don't want to get
You don't want to do
out
that.
on that limb.
Right.
But that move that card had already been played by a lot
Right.
of people, and they're still building up inventory. And so we knew kind of going back till November, December, it was going to get tight for the market.
Right.
And then March, April, then you start seeing everybody else has cleared out their back order 100%. And now they're doing the, buy 8, get 2 free and a reach around and a
Right.
pocket knife and
Yeah.
T-shirt swag, whatever.
Right. Helicopter.
Giving away Bitcoins and fucking, all that. It's like, okay, it's here.
Right.
So this trade show, no one will tell you this.
Right.
But there are some companies that went out of business. They just don't know it yet.
Right.
It's like that movie where the guy's running around trying to
They're
figure out
already
who
dead.
killed him, and they're
Right.
already dead.
Right.
There's some companies that have already committed so much to factories, have inventory, and didn't have a good trade show. They're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, I could name some of them, but you get it,
Right. Oh yeah.
And then the ones, the point is, the exact opposite is happening in Europe right now.
Right.
So what's happening in Europe is all the Habano prices went up.
Mm-hmm.
4 years ago, I'm driving through France, through Spain. You go into a shop, they're 80%, 90%. So Germany's 50-50 New World cigars and Cubans.
Right.
But they keep a good balance. There's demand, right? You go into France, Spain, UK,
80-20.
you see brands like CLE or Hoya or
A couple things pop up.
Davidoff.
Right.
But you're not going to see,
Right. Postania.
you're not going to see Roma Craft. You're not going to see,
Right.
right? So this time their inventory is super low and they're saying, man, what can I do
Right.
to get distribution
Right.
in countries that weren't even interested in cigars from Nicaragua before?
Right.
So
You're starting to see that in the news that there are weird countries that are all of a sudden somebody's announcing they have distribution in.
Yeah, so there's really kind of like there's 3 kinds of distribution. Okay, so the number one way of distribution is somebody has their own distribution, like Davidoff or like J. Cortez with Oliva. They have their own distribution.
Right.
So they make cigars in Nicaragua, Dominican, Honduras. They ship cigars over there. They have people in multiple countries, Belgium, UK, Germany, that are getting their stores out to retailers. Because in Europe, retailers don't go directly to brands so much. They go always through a distributor.
Right. The
So like in the
distributor
U.S., the way it works is I make a cigar for X. I come into the U.S., I set the price at Y. I sell it to a retailer at Y. The retailer sells it to consumer at Y times 2,
Right.
basically. In Germany, it's 1/3
Right.
to the distributor, 1/3 to the retailer, and 1/3 to the consumer. So if it's €9, I sold it for 3. The wholesaler bought it for 6, and then the consumer or the retailer bought it for 6, and the consumer buys it for 9.
Right.
Generally, the general rule of thumb.
Right.
So, what happens is, I send it to Schuster for 3. They sell it to Salih Delay for 6. Salih Delay sells it for 9. He makes $3.
Right.
Salih Delay says, I'm really going to get behind Crown Heads. So he starts being the distributor for Crown Heads in Germany. So he buys it for 3, sells it to 6 to other stores, but he sells the majority of it at 9.
Right.
So he's making 2/3 of the 3 parts of the pie.
Right.
So in a lot of countries like Cigar Agua in Holland or certain people in Belgium, certain people in France, they become the distributor because that's a brand they're really behind.
Right.
And the reason why they want to be the distributor is because they can get 2 bites of the
Increase
apple.
margin. Right.
Right. Right. And they selectively pick those. Like our distributor in the UK is a big retailer.
Right.
So he brings all aroma in. He only sells it in his stores. He
Right.
doesn't sell it to any other store. He doesn't get enough to sell it anywhere else. But we sell to him directly. We used to sell to him through Schuster. So he used to buy it at 6 and sell it for 9. Maybe he'd mark it up to 10 or 11 just so he'd get a little bit more.
Right.
But now with Brexit, now we only sell to Schuster and to him.
Right.
If a retailer in Switzerland, Czech Republic, Vienna, whatever, wants our stuff, they have to get it from Schuster.
Right.
So Schuster buys it for 3. They sell it to them for 6. they maybe mark it up to 12, 15, whatever. So you can see a Roma craft for 20 euros in Switzerland.
Right.
But
Easy.
it's because they had to buy through 2 middlemen.
Right.
Right. And so it doesn't sell
And
a lot.
additional taxation, all that other shit.
All that stuff. Right. So then there's people who are like just, some regular guy who wants to be a broker, distributor, and he goes, hey, send it to me.
Right.
I don't really do this for a living, but I'm a good customer, and I know 3 places who will buy it from me.
Right.
So then they become your distributor. So every week on Half Full, it's like so-and-so's got a new distributorship in
Right.
in
Belgium or
Holland,
Right.
Finland, whatever. It's like, oh, man, these guys are fucking blowing up. No, they're selling like 14 boxes a year in this country.
Right.
You know what I mean? Really, 7 of those 14 get smoked by the guy who's distributing.
Right.
He just
Right.
figured out how to buy a $9 cigar for $3.
Right. Do you see that maybe the future of that, as, given the current market in Europe, that the third would eventually change? Because, look, motherfucker, you need it.
No, I think more likely what will happen is, and by the way, every country is different. I just described Germany mainly.
Just in general.
But what's more likely to happen is right now, as New World cigars become more popular, more people will start creating their own distribution hubs with track and trace,
Right.
their own bonded warehouses. So people like CLE have their own bonded warehouse with Martin Schuster. Big companies like Hoya that do a lot of business internationally will probably start creating their own, just like they have they don't even have their own
So
distribution.
they
in the
cut out
US.
one of those middlemen.
Yeah, they'll be the 6
Right.
to the 9, or
That makes sense.
Right. So what I think is going to happen in the next year or so is the 440 or whatever the number is in the U.S. for the last 12 months, I think is going to go down probably by 80 to 100 million.
Right.
And then the European number will go up by 80 to 100 million.
Right.
But the companies that already have a lot of distribution in Europe that make medium kind of Cuban-esque kind of acceptable cigars will easily offset and eat up most of that 80 million.
Right.
So, and people like AJ who can make anything, people like Plasencia who can make anything, both of those guys already have good distributors, Davidoff, Padron, Fuente, La Aurora.
Those guys are already plugged in.
They're already plugged in. So they're going to eat up that 80, 100 million.
Right.
I mean, even if I could do another 500,000 cigars,
Right.
I don't make the kind of cigars those people who've been buying cigars in France for the last 20 years want to buy.
Right.
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 So, I mean, it's not going to affect me much, but the point, the reason why I bring this up is to say that there's a disturbance in the force.
There is a disturbance.
Right. There is a disturbance.
You've gotten into a little Patreon action that we've talked about. Yeah.
There is a disturbance in the force.
It's very true.
And what's going to happen is these little companies that have had a decent bite at U.S. are going to see the bite. They're going to see the shrinkage.
Right.
And the bigger companies that have been getting their lunch eaten a little bit by the little guys
Right.
have this whole new blue water to play in. So the effect is going to be, even though these big companies haven't been really growing because the little guys have been kind of nipping at their heels, they have this whole new place now to grow into.
Right.
And if they're smart, they're already, and they are, they're in meetings going,
Right.
okay, we're going to spend less on sales in the U.S., we're going to spend less on inventory to the U.S., we're going to start creating products specifically for Europe.
Right.
We're going to start investing in our own distributorships in Europe. We're going to invest in our own brand people and salespeople in Europe. And you're going to see they're going to go get that, because 80 million cigars is, let's say 100 million cigars is $500 million
Right.
of wholesale. And $500 million is enough of a pie for them to go.
We should pay attention to this.
Yeah, right, of course. So what you'll see is you'll start seeing this demand problem in the U.S. start crushing little companies.
Right.
But you're not seeing, because what happened in the past was when the demand in the U.S. went down, right? Take Factory X in Dominican. They have X number of people that work for them. They have X amount of raw material. A guy comes to them and says, make a cigar. They go, we'll kind of do it. But then the demand goes down in the U.S. for them. So they, because I said before, they make more on private labels. They really kick up their private label business.
Right.
And they start making a lot of cigars for those people. Mm-hmm. My father makes a lot of cigars for people. Aganorsa makes a lot of cigars for people. What happens though is they're really doing that to scale their own operations.
Right.
And they're picking and choosing key partners. People like Dion have done as much for Aganorsa as Aganorsa has done for him.
Right.
Right? People like Lorenzo with HVC, he got squeezed out.
Right.
He figured out really quick, ahead of the curve, I got to go get my own little place.
Right.
And as big of a pain in the ass it's going to be, as hard as it's going to be, I got to go make my own cigars.
Right.
Because
He's got that mindset.
I see the writing on the wall.
Right.
But these other people that are like, say, Viaje at Aganorsa, or, I'm not saying like Alan Rubin is Races Cubana.
Right.
Dion is Aganorsa. Aganorsa is built up, but he's an integral part. He's like the right arm, the left arm, whatever.
Right.
You can't chop it off.
Right.
But if you're a finger or a toe,
We can afford to lose this.
yeah, they're going to chop that bitch off.
Right.
So if you're, and I try not to talk about certain companies because everybody gets fucking pussy hurt.
Right.
Vaginitis
Right.
is a serious disease in the cigar business.
Right.
Feelings.
Feelings.
But
My feelings.
My point is to say that these little guys who are a toe or a finger at, or they have a toe at this factory, a finger at this factory, a toe at this factory, those guys are in trouble.
Right.
Now, there may be bigger things that happen. Like if I had to guess, Fuente's opening a factory. Fuente's partners with Newman. But Newman has their own factory.
Right.
Fuente also is a partner with Ashton in a way.
Right.
Ashton makes a lot of cigars with my father. Maybe Fuente starts making cigars for my father. Maybe my father agrees to make more cigars for other people. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not. It doesn't really matter to me one way or the other.
Right.
But my point is, if you are a little brand that's getting made in another factory or has significant chunks in other factories, you have to realize these macro trends in the business to understand what's coming.
Right.
Because if you don't, look at Robert Holt. Robert's a good friend of mine. He has cigars made at AJ. When he started making cigars with AJ, it was a big move for AJ. It helped AJ. Robert's done a good job with his brand. If I'm Robert, am I a toe?
Right.
Or am I an arm?
Right.
And right? And at this point, you can't go be a toe at another factory either.
Can't start over.
There's no, I remember when the guys at Crux, kind of shifted a little bit of production away from Placencia to AJ. Or when Nick kind of moved a little bit away from Aganorsa to AJ. I'm glad I'm not in that position.
Right.
Because there's a lot of big dynamic things happen in the cigar business that are going to affect small companies.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what the PCA looks like next year. Who didn't make it back?
I don't know. We could, nobody in this business ever goes away. You know what I
It's
mean?
a question of how much abuse you want to take.
Yeah.
Let's end up at a different company.
That's true too.
Yeah, or, somebody, buys your brand.
Right.
And, when they say XX cigar company got sold to, whatever cigar company, it's like, well, you don't make cigars. You don't sell cigars. You don't have a warehouse where you receive them and distribute them, right? So you design swag and you own a brand, which you've trademarked. Now someone else has that. So
Right.
now basically it's more like you became an employee at this company.
Right.
And they relieved you of the impending implosion.
Right.
Or the ongoing, this ain't worth it.
Right. The
Right?
overall stress of it. Right.
Right. And at the end of the day,
Hold on, Phil's got something to say.
you'll find out.
It said that recording stopped because it's full.
Oh, then the iPad's full. We maxed out. You can delete today's show from this morning. You don't know how to do that though. All right, we're at the end of the second hour.
When did it cut off? Just now?
Just right when you were saying
So
that
so
last
finish
part.
your note. We'll just leave a blank screen. At the end of the day.
No, I was saying you got to know.
Right.
You got to know if you're a toe.
Right.
You got to know if you're a toe.
You got to know if you're a toe. That is a soundbite right there.
209.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if you're an arm,
Right.
or another important vital organ,
Right. You're going to live.
it's okay not to be in charge of your own production.
Right.
It's okay to not be in charge of your own future.
Right. You can't be a toe.
You can't be a toe.
Don't
Because they're going to cut that bitch off.
Right.
Hey, we'll stop there.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming on. Since we're blank screening right now on YouTube, we appreciate you driving all the way out here, getting a speeding ticket, getting here as fast as you possibly could. And
Too bad it wasn't our friend that worked for the Highway Patrol.
Yeah,
Stogie Trooper.
No, I basically told him, look, I'm overdue. I haven't gotten a ticket in 20 years.
Yeah.
I was speeding.
Guilty.
Give me the ticket.
Right. I'm on my way.
We can both get on our way now.
You can give me the fine, or you can give me the speech.
Right.
I don't need both. I know I was speeding. I know people die.
Right. I get it.
I'm very
I get it.
sorry.
There are laws.
This is my first moving violation in decades.
Right. You caught me.
You got me.
So, all right. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks
right.
for coming on.
Thank you, Skip. The Cigar Hustlers podcast, its owners, and its sponsors take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show host or their guest. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of Mike and Mike Productions or the podcast providers, and opinions between talk show hosts may differ. It is not our intention to libel, incite, or hurt anyone's feelings. We invite you to write the show's host, Mike Stepankevich, with any feedback or suggestions that you have for their shows. These broadcasts are presented and made public as entertainment in the hope that they will be entertaining to the audience.